That's right, the discourse is back. Can Gyomei beat Akaza in a 1v1? But people are throwing in Sanemi can beat Akaza in a 1v1? We're going to talk about it. We're going to go into it. We're going to discuss Akaza versus this because this is the discourse. Now that the new movie's out, which Hashiras can beat him one-on-one? And we're talking about the two strongest Hashiras right now. We're not going to talk about Kokushiba because Kokushiba is wiping any of them 1v1 comfortably, and so is Doma because his Blood Demon Knight is just so effective against the breathing styles that it's going to take like a Yorichi level and, a lot of them to be able to do it. But that's another video for another discussion. But we're going to talk about this one. Smash your opinions down below, smash that like button, click subscribe, and let's talk Akaza versus Gyomei and Sanemi.
さあ始めようか宴の時間だ
So we're going to start with Akaza. So we're going to talk about him for a bit here and just get an idea of what makes him so effective in fighting, especially against the Demon Slayer core. Now, when it comes to Akaza, he is a martial artist. That is what he is. His whole Blood Demon art is all based around that. So he is all about the hand-to-hand combat. Very skilled warrior, been around for a century almost, and he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. So, what makes him so special when it comes to fighting? And it's his ability of the compass needle that he has. This ties into his Blood Demon art. Now, what is this compass needle? Now, this compass needle is the ability to detect fighting spirit or killing intent. This allows him to adapt to his opponent more effectively, enhances his accuracy of strikes, and predicts attacks. Now, this is what he uses very early on when you see him fight Rengoku. When that big snowflake appears, that's his compass needle. Now, he does make the remark about fighting spirit towards Rengoku, and in the new movie, Tanjiro is trying to work out why Akaza is so effective. Why is he so precise and accurate with his strikes? Why does he know where all my weak points are? And why is he able to predict when I'm coming without even knowing I'm there? And it's all because of this compass needle. Now, the bigger your fighting spirit is, the stronger it becomes. That then enhances the ability of Akaza to see when the attacks are coming, to essentially almost tapping on Ultra Instinct like, to be able to see what is coming from behind just by sensing it because of this compass needle. And that is what makes him so effective when he's fighting Giyu, Tanjiro, and Rengoku, is he's essentially got like a spidey sense in a way. So everyone who knows who Spider-Man is, he's got that spidey sense. It's very similar to that. And that enhances him to another level. Now, people have been saying that Sanemi can beat Akaza 1v1, and that Sanemi is the worst matchup for Akaza. That is totally incorrect. Akaza is the worst matchup for Sanemi. Why? Because Sanemi is all about killing intent and battle spirit, fighting spirit. He is literally oozing that. My man wants to kill demons no matter what. That would enhance his compass. So if Sanemi went 1v1 with Akaza, the fighting spirit and the killing intent would enhance Akaza to another level. He would be able to predict everything. Now, I know people are going to be saying, oh, but he's got a red blade and that. How did Sanemi achieve this red blade? He achieved it by smashing it against Giyu's blade and generating that heat to generate the red blade. Now, he can't do that by himself. So without that, Sanemi has no way to be able to beat Akaza. So Akaza is going to beat Sanemi very convincingly. Even if Sanemi, say, decapitated him, we know that he can regrow his head now. So it's a wash. Sanemi is not even in the discussion. He is getting washed one-on-one with Akaza, one of the worst matchups you could imagine. However, when we talk about Gyomei, this is where things get interesting. Because Gyomei has access to the transparent world. Now, this is something that we see Tanjiro use as well in the new movie. This is where you're able to almost see every single thing inside the body. The muscles, the fibers, everything. So you can predict and move. It's essentially almost as if time is slowing down. Now, this is a huge advantage for Gyomei because we see Tanjiro use it against Akaza and he's able to dodge certain attacks very comfortably because it is moving at a slower rate. That is an advantage for Gyomei in this fight. Now, Gyomei, as well gets his red blade from banging his weapons together. Obviously his axe and the ball at the end of the chain. He whacks them together against Muzan, and that's how he achieves the red blade. But he can't use it for too long. So while it's very effective to have, and he would be able to hit Akaza with it, slow down the regeneration, but the question is, how long can Gyomei hold that red blade for? Can he hold it long enough to do enough damage to Akaza to the point where Akaza is regenerating very slowly that it's enough for him to fully destroy every single cell? Now, we have seen that Yoriichi had the red blade. He obviously has sun breathing, the strongest breathing form, cut Muzan into 1,000 pieces and almost destroyed Muzan just by slicing him up to a insane level of basically essentially destroying every single cell. He was very, very close to doing that. But Gyomei's weapon is not quite like that. He'd have to just crush every single cell. But this is where the big thing comes in. Now, people seem to don't understand that the transparent world and the selfless state are two completely different things. You can have the transparent world and not have the selfless state. There have only been 3 people in the series that have been confirmed to have the selfless state. Tanjiro, obviously, as we saw in the movie, Yoriichi, obviously, and Tanjiro's father, who was able to achieve it. Now, what is the selfless state? That is the next question. Now, the selfless state is a mysterious state of being where a user completely erases their fighting spirit, presence, and emotions like anger or hatred, becoming as unnoticeable as a plant. So essentially what the selfless state is, you are removing every single thing, essentially, and you are becoming an object with no sense of being. That's essentially what you're doing. You can't sense the movement or anything. Now, Tanjiro uses this. He accesses this after watching his father do it and understanding how to do it. Now, is this exclusive for Sun Breathers only? That seems to be the thing, because Yoriichi has it, Tanjiro accesses it, and Tanjiro's dad, who kind of understands how sun breathing works, obviously taught Tanjiro the dance and that's how Tanjiro was able to access the sun breathing. They're the only ones that have it, so maybe it's just a sun breathing thing only. But in order to beat Akaza, this is essential to have. You must have this ability, because this bypasses the compass needle instantly, as Tanjiro showed you. Tanjiro could tell him that he was coming to decapitate him, but because there was no fighting spirit or no killing intent, the compass couldn't detect it, which allowed Tanjiro to creep up on Akaza and decapitate him without even knowing. Now, obviously Tanjiro had the transparent world, had sun breathing, and had, at the same time, the selfless state. And that's how he was able to beat Akaza in a fight, but obviously Akaza can regrow his head. Now, in order for Gyomei to fully beat Akaza, there is 2 ways. One, this fight needs to go and he needs to survive until the sun rises and hold Akaza there so the sun can kill him. Or 2, access the selfless state and use his red weapon. Without the selfless state, Gyomei's fighting spirit is going to be easy to detect for the compass. And once that does, that gives Akaza a chance to adapt to the speed and become essentially a step ahead. Now, with the transparent world, that makes things interesting because he's able to see that in almost slow time as well. So this is the most interesting fight. I can see why people say Gyomei can win. I understand that. I totally get it. That is very plausible. But at the same time, it's like Akaza has all these things, and without the selfless state, it becomes very hard to beat Akaza. You need to be someone like Kokoshiba, who is miles ahead in speed, strength, everything, to be able to do that. To be able to do anything to Akaza. That is the big thing. Now, I know some people are going to say Gyomei can keep up with Kokoshiba. There's a whole thing about that battle with Saneme's blood that affects him. Kokoshiba not going fully 100%. And it wasn't technically a 1v1. They needed Genya to hold him. You know, they needed those. So many different variables. We're talking strictly 1v1. Gyomei up against Akaza right here, right now. And I feel like once Akaza figures out how Gyomei does the red blade, that could be a disadvantage, because then Akaza will know what happens. Also, Gyomei's ball and chain is kind of a ranged weapon. Akaza could get inside that and do some serious damage to Gyomei. Like, that is the thing. It's such an interesting battle because Gyomei has the length, the range attacks, and that. We do know that Akaza has range attack as well, but he also has close combat at the same time. He's very skilled at close combat. So if Akaza can get on the inside, I just don't see how Gyomei can win this. I don't. I would go, look, if they were to fight 10 times, I'm going to go Akaza would win about 7 out of 10. I think Gyomei wins 3 out of 10 times, but that's just my opinion. That is what I've come up with. But I want to know what you guys think. Smash your stuff down here. Smash your opinions. Smash your analysis. Because it's a very interesting fight. I totally understand why people think Gyomei can win. And there are so many things and factors that if Gyomei gets right, he could win this. But there's also, Akaza has some things up his sleeve as well. But let me know what you guys think. Smash it down there. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. And I'll see you guys next video. Until then, stay safe and peace out.